So I hope that you had the opportunity to see the Jolt teaser, which was me riding my bike in Dick's Sporting Goods and getting scolded by the manager for riding a bike that was way too small for me with training wheels. And as I was riding that bike, it dawned on me how many times, or how long ago, I guess, it seems that we did that very same thing with our kids. We taught them how to ride a two-wheeler. And I just remember, I think I was full of fear and they were full of faith. Like, I was sure that they were going to fall and they were certain that that was not going to happen. And so here's what I learned. I learned recently that we only have two legitimate fears. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Now, everything else we have fabricated and we've allowed to become very real in our mind. So I can tell you I had 1 million fears after I became a mother. It seemed as if I was afraid of everything in terms of our kids' safety. So now I learned that only 2 of those fears were legitimate, which is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. So here's the thing about fear. It is, the acronym is false evidence appearing real, because it does. Fear totally appears to be real when we're navigating it. And here's the thing, it can be completely paralyzing. Fear is this emotion that catches us, like stops us dead in our tracks, because we become so fixated on the fact that what we are believing is actually going to happen. What's so interesting is it is the exact opposite of faith. Faith is when we get so fixated on what we believe, even though we don't see it, that it's going to happen. So I think Jesus knew this, because there are 365 times in Scripture where Jesus tells us to not be afraid. Like, specifically, do not be afraid. Like, in other words, I got you and I got this, and you do not need to be afraid. So the F word that we get to this Monday Jolt with Judy, the F word that we get to replace fear with, my friends, is the faith word. So faith is the realization of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. So when it came to my kids, I was completely hesitant, believing they were going to fall, and they were completely anticipating, right? So I was hesitating and they were anticipating. I was hesitating in fear. They were anticipating in faith that everything was going to be okay. The message this morning is sometimes some of us need training wheels for longer than others. Our daughter Kennedy taught herself to ride a two-wheeler after she took the training wheels off in the garage, when she rode it with training wheels for about 32 seconds. Some of us need some training wheels for a longer period of time. And the reality is, Scripture tells us emphatically that we are not to fear, do not fear, but rather, be strong and be courageous. Because as I kept running alongside of my kids on that bike, I kept saying, like, you got this and I got you. You got this and I got you. And I think that's exactly what God says. It's exactly what God does. He runs alongside of us and he reminds us that we got this and he's got us. So my friends, I pray today you replace every fear that is unfounded, unprecedented, and actually unreal. And you fill in that space with faith, because fear and faith do not reside in the same place. God bless and have a fantastic week.